In the final months of Oldsmobile's long run, the story wasn't just about a car rolling off an assembly line. It was about the end of a name that had been on American roads for more than a century. Through world wars, the rise of suburbia, the birth of the interstate, and the muscle car era. When the last Oldsmobile was built, it marked the closing chapter of one of the most influential brands in U.S. automotive history. And for many workers and owners, it felt less like a product announcement and more like a farewell. Oldsmobile began in the 1890s, and for decades it stood for something specific: attainable innovation. It wasn't the most expensive badge in General Motors, but it was often the place where new ideas arrived first for everyday drivers. Early in the 20th century, Oldsmobile helped normalize mass production, and later it became known for technical milestones that made their way into the mainstream. It built a reputation as the brand that brought tomorrow to a family driveway, sometimes successfully, sometimes imperfectly, but often boldly. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, though, the American car market that had once made space for so many distinct middle-tier brands began to consolidate in consumers' minds. Shoppers could see overlapping sedans and SUVs across GM showrooms that looked similar, were priced close together, and chased the same buyers. At the same time, Japanese automakers were steadily increasing market share with strong quality perceptions and efficient manufacturing. And within GM, Oldsmobile had a particularly difficult identity problem. It was trying to reinvent itself as modern and youthful while still being remembered, fairly or not, as a brand associated with older buyers. GM attempted to reposition Oldsmobile with new products, new design language, and one of the most discussed ad campaigns of the era. The company pushed the message that this was not your father's Oldsmobile, trying to shake off the old stereotypes and give the brand a fresh start. But the challenge wasn't just marketing, it was structural. Oldsmobile sat in the middle of GM's lineup, where the differences between brands had become harder to justify, and the cost of keeping a separate dealer network, brand identity, and product strategy was becoming harder to defend inside a company facing larger financial pressures. Then came the decision that would define Oldsmobile's last years. In late 2000, GM announced it would phase out Oldsmobile. The company said the plan was to end production over the next few years, managing an orderly exit rather than an abrupt stop. It was a major moment. Oldsmobile was one of GM's oldest divisions and one of the oldest American car brands, period. Ending it wasn't like discontinuing a single model. It was removing an entire layer of automotive culture, one that had been present for generations. For dealers, this decision landed with particular force. Many Oldsmobile dealerships were standalone stores or had built their business around Oldsmobile as the primary franchise. A brand wind-down meant not only fewer new cars to sell, but the long-term question of what the dealership would become afterward, if it would survive at all. GM created programs to compensate dealers and help them transition, but there was no way to make the moment painless. A dealership isn't just a sign on a building. It's payroll, service bays, family businesses, and local reputations built over decades. For factory workers, the phase-out was also deeply personal. People who had spent careers building Oldsmobiles were watching the end of a nameplate that had put food on the table for generations. In auto manufacturing communities, brands are intertwined with identity. The end of Oldsmobile wasn't simply a corporate decision. It was a change that could be felt at union halls, at diners near the plants, and in towns where the industry's stability mattered. As production wound down, Oldsmobile's final lineup was narrowed. The company focused on a few key models, and among them was the Oldsmobile Alero, one of the brand's compact to midsize offerings that, by the early 2000s, had become a familiar sight in rental fleets and daily commuter traffic. It wasn't the most legendary Oldsmobile ever produced, and it wasn't the kind of car people put under spotlights at classic car shows while it was new. But that's part of what made it fitting. The last Oldsmobile wasn't a supercar or an anniversary special. It was a normal car, built for normal life, in line with Oldsmobile's long history of being a mass-market brand. In 2004, the end arrived. The final Oldsmobile built was an Alero, produced at GM's Lansing Craft Center in Michigan. The moment carried symbolism well beyond the car itself. Lansing, like so many manufacturing cities in the Midwest, understood what it meant when a line stopped. The last car was marked as the final one, and GM treated the event as a milestone, somber, managed, and carefully documented. The last Oldsmobile Alero was finished in a dark red tone, a color that looked almost ceremonial under factory lights. The vehicle represented not only the final unit of a production schedule, but the end of a brand whose earliest cars predated the modern highway system by decades. And in a twist that made the story more like a museum handoff than a corporate termination, the final Oldsmobile didn't disappear into an anonymous private sale. It was preserved. The last Oldsmobile became part of a collection, eventually displayed to the public as an artifact from an era when American brands were more numerous and more distinct. In the days surrounding the final production, reactions were mixed and intense. To some consumers, Oldsmobile had already faded from consideration years earlier. The market had moved on and the decision felt inevitable. To others, especially loyal owners, Oldsmobile had been their family's default car for decades. These were people who had driven Cutlasses, 88s, and other models through the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. For them, the phase-out felt like being told a familiar landmark was being demolished. It wasn't just nostalgia. It was trust and continuity, something that had been passed down as a practical choice. We buy Oldsmobiles. Collectors and enthusiasts also saw opportunity in the ending. When a long-running badge disappears, the last vehicles can become historically significant simply because they're last. But the collector world is complicated, and last built doesn't always translate to high market value. Much depends on the broader story people tell about it. The last Oldsmobile Alero is meaningful because it's the final punctuation mark. Yet it also belongs to a class of everyday sedans that were produced in large numbers. Its value is as a cultural item, not because it was exotic or rare in the usual performance sense. In the wider context, Oldsmobile's end became a preview of pressures that would later hit other parts of the American auto industry. Brand consolidation, shrinking sedan demand, globalization, and the cost of maintaining multiple nameplates all became more visible in the decades that followed. Oldsmobile was an early high-profile casualty of a trend where companies began to simplify portfolios, focus on fewer high-volume models, and move away from divisions that no longer had clear market separation. Oldsmobile's demise also highlighted a deeper truth about car brands. They are stories as much as they are products. Oldsmobile once had a story that was easy to understand, innovation for the middle-class buyer. Over time, that story blurred. When the differences between brands shrink, shoppers begin to treat them as interchangeable. And when a brand becomes interchangeable, it becomes vulnerable. That is what happened in the end. The market didn't hate Oldsmobile so much as it stopped needing a separate reason to buy it. There is also the question of timing. Oldsmobile's wind-down happened before today's intense wave of retro revivals, heritage editions, and brand storytelling that have helped some legacy nameplates regain relevance. In another era, could Oldsmobile have been reinvented as a modern electric brand carrying a historic name? Possibly. Automakers have revived dead badges before. But inside GM at the time, the priorities were different. Reducing complexity, improving financial performance, and sharpening the identities of the brands it chose to keep. Today, the last Oldsmobile sits as a quiet exhibit of what the early 2000s felt like in American manufacturing. An era of transition, uncertainty, and strategic retreat before the bigger crisis that would hit the industry later in the decade. And for people who worked on those cars, the last Oldsmobile isn't just something behind a rope in a museum. It's a memory of routines, of coworkers, of shifts, and of pride in building something real. What makes this story endure is that it's not just about one company making a portfolio decision. It's about how quickly the familiar can become historical. Oldsmobile existed for generations long enough that many Americans didn't think of it as something that could end. And then, suddenly, it did. In the broader narrative of the American auto industry, Oldsmobile's last day on the line has become a reference point, an example of what happens when a brand's identity erodes and market forces accelerate faster than reinvention efforts can take hold. The last Oldsmobile wasn't a loud farewell. It was a quiet conclusion. One final car, one final inspection, one final drive off the line. And yet in that quiet ending, there's a kind of clarity. The last Oldsmobile reminds us that automotive history isn't only written by famous performance models and iconic designs. It is also written by everyday sedans built by thousands of workers, bought by ordinary families, and driven until the wheels rusted out. When Oldsmobile ended, it left behind more than a badge. It left behind the accumulated experiences of millions of owners, and a final car that now stands in for an entire century of American road life.